Hi, welcome to the Vaguely Anime Podcast. I am one of your hosts this evening, Michael, followed by other Cultured Corner host, Sage.
That's me.
We're not doing Culture Corner necessarily, but that's our team name, I guess.
Yeah, it makes the most sense.
It really does. At least in the beginning, I did want to talk about this show I just recently watched.
Sure.
And I want to explain it to you and sell you on it.
All right. Give me the sales pitch.
Okay, all right. So, Adorable Girls, Moe show.
Okay,
One of the girls, crippling social anxiety.
great.
Like, crippling. Like, she can't do anything. But all she wants is to make a friend
Okay.
and be in a band.
Okay.
She sees some dude who also was socially anxious when she was a child be in a big band, and he's being interviewed, and he's like, I was socially anxious, but I got into a band, and that helped me. And she was like, I can do that. That'll solve all of my problems.
All right.
She picks up her dad's guitar. Flash forward 3 years, nothing has changed. She's been playing in her fucking closet the entire 3 years, but now she's an expert at playing guitar.
Okay.
And she also has a YouTube account that has some quite a lot of followers, and has made 0 friends,
Okay.
but is now a shut-in with great guitar skills.
Great. We love learning new skills.
So she decides she's now starting high school. She's like, all right, I need to change my tactics here. So she decides to bring her guitar to school because that'll make people talk to her. And nobody does.
Great.
And the one time somebody tried to talk to her, she got too socially anxious and ran away.
Great. Love it.
So it is a show about adorable girls, and one can't talk to anybody, except then the extrovert shows up and just basically drags her to where they need to go because she has a guitar, and she's like, you have a guitar and we need a guitarist and we're about to do something, so I need you.
Yoink.
So she just is like, you're coming with me now. It's like that TikTok video where it's like, you're my friend now, and picks up the person and walks away. And she plays the first show in a box.
Oh, poor baby.
So the whole show is just that, basically. And she like lives in her own world that constantly is thinking everybody is against, like, hates her and that she's useless and worth nothing. And they used like animation really, really well in the show because they
What's it called?
Bocchi the Rock.
Okay.
Basically, like, in her world, in her mind, they constantly use like different forms of animation to
That's
show
cute.
shit.
I like
So like
that.
there's claymation, there's stop motion, there's like fucking popsicle stick cutouts, and then like actively just like 3D models, but like T-posed polygon models.
Like
and-
really unfinished models.
yeah, like, but as the joke.
Yeah.
And it is great.
Did you ever watch Call Me Can't Communicate?
I have not.
Okay, so
I've been meaning to forever.
I think I only watched, I don't know how many seasons it has, but I think I've only watched the first season. It is really like wholesome as heck, and it's also about a girl with like extreme social anxiety.
Yeah.
But the difference is she has this like very like perfect student like exterior. So, you know, like, oh, that girl, she's so cool, she must be so popular, blah blah blah. Like all the guys want to be with her, and all the girls want to be her, kind of thing.
Yeah, Bocchi doesn't have that.
Okay, so she has that, but she can't, like, the second anyone tries to like be like, hey, what's going on, she just clams up and she just starts sweating buckets, and they're like, all right.
Yeah, no. Bocchi people don't talk to Bocchi.
Gotcha.
She is the girl that is in school that everybody knows is there, but nobody's like,
Yeah.
just, I guess they're just there. Guess they don't want to talk to us, hang out. And it also, the soundtrack slaps.
Yeah.
And the animation is really good. They use 3D models sometimes when they're actually like playing their instruments. But it's, I believe, if I remember correctly, it is 3D models, but they were mocapped by people actually playing the instruments. So like hand placements and strumming are all correct.
That's interesting.
And yeah, it's really fun, and it's about these 3 and then eventually 4 girls just trying to like realize their band dream, and
Cute.
And it's really so the funny thing about the show is the like top tier character and like interactions, which is Bochi, who's just absolutely social fucking destroyed. Then there's the band's like front runner basically,
Right.
who is the drummer. All right, so it's like there's like 4 tiers, right?
Right.
There is the absolutely awful social inept Bochi, who is introverted and inept.
Right.
Then there's the extrovert, but also socially inept.
Great.
But like she loves people, talks to them, but like if like anybody really starts questioning her on something, she breaks down. She's like has this persona that she's built up.
Right.
Then there's the introvert that is confident in themselves,
Right.
the bassist. And then there is the extrovert who is also confident in themselves, the drummer.
Gotcha.
The drummer is the one that like takes Bochi and is like, "You're joining us now."
Yeah.
And it's like the interactions between those 4 characters are all really interesting. The bassist, kind of a monster of a human being, but like in a fun way.
Okay.
Like basically, from what if I'm remembering correctly, from a loaded family, absolutely made of money.
Gotcha.
But constantly blows all her allowance on new guitars and basses.
Gotcha.
So she never has money. And so she's just mooching off the people that actively are usually struggling to have money, like Bochi, and then never paying them back.
Great.
So like she's kind of the worst, but also great.
Gotcha.
Arguably best girl in the show, but again, she's also kind of a monster.
Okay.
Same with Bochi's little sister, who is just the devil incarnate.
Okay.
But in a fun way.
Gotcha.
And like it's just there's so much going on in the show, and it's only 12 episodes, and it's just such a fun, quick watch. And there's like really not a unenjoyable character in it. The
So
supporting,
it's very like tightly written.
yeah, the supporting cast is all really interesting and good. And it's just, and so their like lead singer basically is like super bubbly and whatnot. She's the one that's like extroverted but like socially inept at the same
Right.
time. And like so she's like the singer, and it's not really like a spoiler, but slight spoiler for Bocchi the Rock. Bocchi's like the songwriter for the group.
Okay.
And the only songs that she knows how to write are absolutely super depressing and sad. And so like she's trying to figure out how to write like a happy song because that's what
Right.
the band feels like it should be. And the bassist is like, "Bruh, what do you normally write? Because this seems like shit." And she's
Right.
like, this. And she shows her like the depressing shit she writes. And she's like, "Why don't we just do this?" And she's like, but, you know, it just feels like, and she's like, "Yeah, but think about how funny it would be if our charismatic lead singer that is super cute and adorable and everyone
Yeah,
loves is singing the
seriously.
most depressed shit in an upbeat way."
That's really.
And so they just go, "All right, yeah, sure." So like it's really, really funny. There's some great comedy in it. Like this girl, the lead singer is like at one point, she's like, "I tried learning the guitar, but like I couldn't do it." And she's like, and every time I would do it, it would just make this noise and be like, bum, 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 bum. And it'd be like, and that's not right. And they're like, "Did you buy a bass?" And she's like, "No, it has 6 strings." And she opens up the case and it's a 6-string bass. And they're like, "You fucking idiot." So it's just really funny. It's very good. It's very quick of a watch. The soundtrack fucking slaps.
I'll put that on my forever to watch list. It sounds good though.
It's 12 episodes. You could literally
Yeah, I
watch
was gonna
it
say
tonight.
bang it out.
Yeah, like you could watch it tomorrow after work and be done with it already.
So can I derail from this for a little bit?
Yeah.
You didn't watch Toonami growing up, right?
Did not.
Okay. So
Technically,
part
it
of
was a 4Kids kid.
oh okay.
Technically, I
That's-
still didn't watch all that much anime as a kid,
But so during Toonami's programming slots, which I think was between like 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. was their programming. You know, you obviously had like the big 3, Naruto, Bleach, One Piece. You had
Right.
Dragon Ball on there. Other shows that were pretty good. But then I remember when they started airing Bobobo.
Okay.
Did you ever watch Bobobo?
I did not, but I know of Bobobo.
I don't know why, but this just came into my brain the other day. Just this like very vivid memory of Bobobo. I have never seen a more ridiculous show in my
'Cause
life.
it's technically like Bobo, right?
It sure is. And the main guy is this huge, beefed up man with a blonde afro, and his superpowers is super long nose hairs.
Yep, sure is. Just pulled it up.
And every single character is completely ridiculous and over the top, and I love it. Except they have like the one, like, you know, like in every shonen you have like the stereotypical like, ooh, cold as ice character. So they have that guy, and they try to play, like, from my memory at least, because I haven't watched Bobo in a very long time, but they try to play him as like the straight man, or like amongst the zaniness.
Right.
It's just so off the wall craziness, like minute to minute nonstop, and I'm like, how did this become a show?
Because Japan is weird.
It's true. I'm like, because I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, I feel like if you were here in the United States and you were like, I want to pitch a superhero, right? Because shonen is like, I would say rough equivalent for like superhero genre, right?
Sure.
I want to pitch a superhero, and their powers is they can control their extremely long nose hairs.
In a futuristic world,
Yeah.
the Maruhag Empire is a militant organization out to steal everyone's hair, and thus their freedom.
Mm-hmm.
But a brave man with an afro of gold and nose hairs of steel stands up against their tyranny.
Mm-hmm.
Bobo, trained in the ways of the hair, rescues a teenager named Beauty from the grunts of the Maruhag Empire. Together, they start a journey to defeat Emperor Cerulean the fucking fourth. As Bobo meets new friends and foes along the way, so too does he begin his quest to save all the hairs of the world. Light-hearted and comical Bobo details a wacky adventure in which Bobo and his companions fight all sorts of villains and deviants, all while having fun and exciting adventures.
It's like Kill la Kill, but with hair and way less etchy.
Okay. I was like, is it that etchy also?
No, but it's that same concept, if that makes sense, where Kill la Kill is like, clothes are evil.
Right. Hair is technically evil.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I was thinking about it the other day, because like I've watched a lot of anime in my life, but nothing stands out quite like Bobobo in terms of like ridiculousness. Even though like you have things like One Piece where like there's a lot of ridiculous character designs, but I feel like within the world of One Piece, a lot of their like powers and like the groups and dynamics all kind of make sense.
Right.
And this is from my really, really rough understanding of One Piece, because I only watched it when I was a kid, and then I dropped it, and then I never like picked back up on it. But
Quarantine was a great way to pick back up on One Piece. That's when I started it.
So I heard. But even like something like One Piece, where everyone's kind of like ridiculous and off the wall, a lot of it makes sense. Bobobo is just like, there's obviously a story going on, but there's so much random shit all the time that you're like, literally, what the fuck am I looking at?
Right. 76 episodes.
That's not bad.
I think its average score is actually the exact same as Chivalry of a Failed Knight.
LOL. Also, I don't know if I said this already in an episode, but they just put Monster on Netflix.
Okay, it is 3 points higher. Chivalry of a Failed Knight is 7.45. Bobo is 7.48.
Gotcha. What was I saying? Yeah. So did I already say this on an episode that Monster is now on Netflix?
I think we had talked about it because we were talking about the dub being not
so
right.
well. So I just found out that actually on Netflix they only have subtitles.
Oh, they don't have the dub.
They don't have the dub. There only is the sub version available.
Interesting. I didn't know Netflix even did that.
I didn't know either. I thought they always tried to get the dubbing rights.
Yeah, because I thought I saw people commenting that the dub was still bad because it was the same one.
I don't know if maybe just my Netflix fucked up and then.
Is it all of the episodes or is it only part of it?
I think it's only part of it.
Yeah.
It only gives you, I think, up to episode 30.
Yeah.
And I believe the full run is 70 or 72 episodes.
Yeah, so I'm gonna probably wait to watch it until it's all out.
But it's weird. I thought it was strange that they only had 30 episodes because it's not like this is a hot, fresh new show.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I'm
like,
sure it had something to do with the fucking rights.
I was gonna say
Monster is 74 episodes.
Okay. But yeah, so I was like, that's weird that you don't only have 30 episodes because from what I remember, right around the 30 episode mark, or maybe like 35-ish, is when it's funny because that's when it starts like kind of lulling in pace just a little bit. Because I'll be honest, this show is pretty dense to get through.
Right.
It's not, I will say it's bingeable, but I think you have to really pay attention to this show. It's not something you can just like have on the background and be like, okay, I'm gathering all the like necessary information. I could be wrong, but I feel like this is a show where you like need to have your eyes essentially glued to the screen the whole time.
Well, if it's also a sub, then yeah.
Well, I think I don't remember if I watched it as a sub or a dub the first time I watched it because it was years ago now.
Right.
But even if it was the dub, I'm pretty sure I was like fully engaged with it the whole time I was watching it.
Yeah, but apparently the dub's Garbo.
It could be. I don't remember.
Yeah, apparently they couldn't get the rights to the music and it
Right.
changes
I
a bunch
remember
of
us
the
talking about
scenes.
that.
Yeah, and then it's also just kind of bland. You know, and it is one of those. This show came out in 2004 to 2005, so that sounds about right in the bad dubbing era.
True. Yeah, and like.
And where you
rights
couldn't,
hellscape.
yeah, when you couldn't get the rights to music for some reason because that's fucking separate for whatever goddamn reason.
You would think they would just make it all one thing, but I guess not. At
Sure
that
would.
point, they didn't.
Yeah,
Which seems like a very weird choice to keep them separate.
but yet it was sure a problem for a while.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense because if you think about like a lot of, especially anime that was like airing on television, you had like American
Yeah, like
English,
Dragon Ball has two separate.
openings
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
they don't do that anymore though,
No, they don't do that
which
anymore.
is a shame because English openings used to fucking slap.
Some of them were really good. The Yu Yu Hakusho one,
Smile Bomb is better than
iconic.
Yeah,
it's
it's-
literally the best.
like it's kind of a bummer, but also sometimes they were bad. So
No, I would agree. Like a lot of them were, I would say most of them were bad. Like the Oran High School Host Club English opening is really rough to listen to.
I don't know if the dub on Netflix used that or not.
I don't think they did.
Okay.
Or at least I don't remember them doing it.
I don't know. I watched our in High School House Club like last year.
Because
So.
I know before it was on, this was way back in the day, when you could watch anime in 3 parts on YouTube.
Right. You
What-
technically still can.
Should
You choose to do
Should you
that.
choose to do it that way and literally torture yourself? Yeah. But,
Hell, people do that now on TikTok.
what?
Well, like TikTok, it does episodes in like part 1 through fucking 12. People do that for movies where they break down a movie into like fucking 40 different parts and you can just...
Why would you do that?
Sometimes if I have nothing else to do and I'm just like sitting there and scrolling,
Because
and then all
what's
of a
the
sudden
max
a
time
random,
frame on TikTok? 3 minutes?
Technically now I think there's 10, but they don't use the 10 minutes. They use like the 3-minute ones usually because most people don't stick around for 10 minutes. So like
But
sometimes
why would you break up a movie into 3-minute segments? That sounds terrible.
because they get watches. I've been seeing Hidden Figures recently through that. Like I haven't been sitting there watching all of it, but like I've been seeing
Clips
that movie.
of it.
Yeah.
That's so bizarre.
So like I've seen like the beginning, like somewhere in like the 30-ish minutes around that movie, then somewhere around the 40-minute mark, and like
At least on YouTube, you had like 10 minutes an episode. And for anime, that's pretty good. You know what I mean? But 3 minutes?
Yep.
Either per episode or for a movie?
Yep.
That I really can't get for a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because even on the short end, like what's the average like short length of a movie? 80 minutes? That's pretty short for a movie.
Yeah, it's usually at least
90 minutes?
At least an hour, 20 minutes usually. It's very rare that I feel like a movie is less than an hour 20.
Right. So 80 minutes is on the short end, which would be an hour and 20. I feel like usually they around 90 minutes.
Yeah, usually. Usually most like a tight like hour and a half movie. It's usually like you get in, you get out kind of movie.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, I saw Babylon recently.
How was it? That's the one with which actors are in that?
Margot Robbie.
Is Brad Pitt in that?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie are
Gotcha.
like
Main
like,
leads.
yeah, the two big names.
What's it even about? Because I only saw like
okay,
mild
so
trailers.
it is a movie about how do I describe this? It's a movie about the transition between silent films and
Speaking
talkies,
films,
yeah,
right?
and talkies, and silent stars trying to make that transition
Okay.
because most couldn't.
Right.
If you've ever watched Singing in the Rain,
Which I haven't.
oh, okay, part of that movie is also telling that story.
Okay.
And it like makes basically it uses like it makes fun of the fact that like mic placement was always weird, so sometimes characters would like go in and out of mic range, and so they'd be talking and like they can't fix that.
Right.
Or a silent star, like a silent film star was like huge, but then all of a sudden during talkies they either couldn't get dialogue right or their voice was just fucking awful,
Okay.
like weirdly high pitched or like whatever, and so nobody wanted to fucking hear them. Stuff like
Interesting.
yeah,
Okay.
stuff like that. So it's basically about like the insane reality that were like end time silent movies where like they could show whatever the fuck they wanted, nudity, drugs, alcohol, whatever. They had no fucking there were no laws against anything to be filmed basically during the like end of silent films or at any time during them.
when was the end of silent films? Like 1930s, like later 30s?
Yeah, around there.
Okay. I'm just thinking about like the technology that would have been available, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like it's around there. And so like there were no restrictions. So basically you could film whatever. Like I'm pretty sure like that's why what's the word for them? The fucking like nude theaters.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, but I don't know what they're called.
Yeah, they're no longer a thing. But like they some of the first like porn videos were silent movies.
Right. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I can't ever think of what they're called now.
Yeah, I can't either. X-rated theaters, but that's not what it's
Something like
yeah.
that.
But yeah, so like so it starts off with like how all these stars just had insane money and extravagant parties and like fucking orgies all the time and like shit like that and just doing all the fucking drugs on the planet. And then you circle back to that in like the 80s.
Right.
But and then their transition between these two stars basically, which are Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie, trying to go from those where they were the best actors in the business to then talkies, where Margot Robbie sounds like a girl from New Jersey that nobody wants to hear and doesn't have eloquent speech.
Okay.
And isn't able to like enunciate and can't really remember her lines and can't like do her placement right. And Brad Pitt's character not really being bad, but just nobody really cares about him anymore.
Okay.
Like he's just not interesting enough.
He's not like in favor anymore.
Yeah,
kind
he's just
of a
not
thing.
interesting enough when it comes to the talkies. Like he feels like he's part of the old guard, and so people have kind of moved on.
Okay.
And it's the two of them trying to like keep people interested in them. And all these wild fucking antics going on while that's happening. Brad Pitt's a fucking alcoholic. He's been on like fucking 30 marriages. And Margot Robbie's character is like has a gambling and drug and like addiction and everything. Yeah. And so she's like constantly in debt and like dealing with people that are trying to like fucking get their money collectors and stuff.
Right.
And then the other main character is the guy that's interacted with both of them, who I will pull up his name real quick.
Sure.
I don't know if he's been in anything else. He is where is it? Here it is.
What, like he
Diego
looks familiar?
Calva.
Like, can I see a picture?
I believe that's how you say that name.
What was I gonna say? Something about Margot Robbie. I think he has been in other stuff.
Well, yeah, there's a bunch of his movies listed right here. But
No, not like based off that list. His face looks kind of familiar, like something I've seen before.
it seems like he's mostly been in Mexican TV shows and movies, seemingly. But yeah, he's he is a Mexican actor, and he was actually really good in the movie. He was definitely like a standout in it. Like, I mean, Margot Robbie and Brad Pitt are great. They usually always are, but he was a standout in that movie for me, I think. And he is a hand helping some dude that's throwing the big ass party that the movie starts with.
Okay.
And then he's tasked with taking Brad Pitt to his fucking house because he's drunk off his ass and can't drive.
Right.
And then during that whole thing, Brad Pitt like basically just like adopts this kid, not actually, but like in terms of like, hey, you're gonna come to this movie set with me, and then you're gonna start doing some stuff, and gets him into the industry.
Right.
So it's these three people making their way up. Brad Pitt's already at the top. Margot Robbie is now, she got scouted because some girl couldn't fucking go, and she like nails it in the first go and is now already rocketing up. And him starting at the very fucking bottom and working his way up.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the two of them start floundering, he's already still going up because now he's behind the scenes. He's not an actor or anything. He's like becoming a producer, becoming a director, stuff like that. But he's constantly having to deal with these two because they work for his company.
Gotcha.
And so he has to keep like wrangling them and everything. Every time they fuck up, it's on him and shit like that. And they keep constantly like screwing him over. And like, I personally enjoy movies that are like send up to movies, like The Fabelman, Spielberg's movie that came out recently, that was about his basically journey of becoming in love with film, is also an homage to cinema, and I think that's fucking great, incredible movie. And I think Babylon as a concept is also a really interesting movie, but it's weird because it's by the guy that directed Whiplash, La La Land, and First Man. I don't know if you know who that is or not, but if you've seen any of those movies.
I think I only saw Whiplash, but that is a pretty good movie.
Okay, so it's by that guy. Funny enough, I think Whiplash and La La Land are fucking incredible. First Man, I think, is very boring.
Okay.
This movie is also kind of a miss for me.
Do you feel like it's Oscars bait?
No.
Okay.
I think that La La Land or First Man was way more Oscar bait than this was.
Oh, okay.
But I don't think he made those to be that.
Gotcha.
Well, First Man feels a little odd compared to the other four movies, I would say. So that one I feel like would be more Oscar bait than anything else. But he has incredible eye for making movies.
Okay.
His set designs are immaculate. The cinematography in his movies are crazy good. Like, the music he does is great. Like, I think he's a top tier director, even if I think two of his movies are not that great. But this movie was like, it's odd because like none of it really grabbed me at any point. And like, it has a weird, like, kind of like a lack of a through line.
Okay.
Like, there is the A to Z, and like there is something you can kind of follow along, but it feels so sporadic.
It's not cohesive.
It just feels like there's so much stuff happening at all times that it feels like it loses itself sometimes. And it's also like weirdly gross at points. Like, the movie starts, and in like the first 10 minutes, some dude gets like shit on by an elephant, and then you walk into a room and this girl is just peeing on this dude and it like peeing on him and then into his mouth, and like because it's like an orgy party thing. So like, and it's just like,
why?
Yeah, like it's just unnecessary.
Like gratuitous.
Yeah, like, and it maybe the point is just to like to sell how absurd the time was, but it just feels gratuitous. Like there was no real reason for this. And then like at one point Margot Robbie's character just starts fucking throwing up everywhere. At one point some character needs to like suck venom out of somebody, and I swear to God the slurping was like the grossest thing on the fucking planet. It was like so unnecessarily clear.
No.
And like just like the only thing you were hearing. The person next to me was like actively gagging.
Yeah, that sounds horrible. Because you know how like in movie theaters, it's so loud.
Yeah.
Like ridiculously loud. So I can't imagine sitting in a dark movie theater and you're just hearing like overwhelmingly loud surround sound slurping noises.
And like, it is a fantastic looking movie. And I do think that if you are home and it becomes available on streaming services, it's not worth it's worth watching, or at least it's not worth skipping. Like if you see it, you have fucking the 3+ hours to be like, I want to watch a long movie.
It's a 3+ hour
Sure
movie.
is.
Jesus Christ.
In that theater, I felt every fucking minute, which sucks. Like, I think
you didn't get like immersed in it.
Yeah, like I think if you're home and you have the time to kill and you're like kind of interested in it, I don't know. It's interesting, but like it's not worth not watching.
Gotcha. Did you watch The Menu?
But yeah, it's great.
I just saw it came onto HBO Max and
Absolutely
I kept being
incredible
like I should
movie.
watch this, but I wasn't sure.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
In
okay.
basically every way.
All right, maybe I'll probably watch it when I get home.
Plus,
then.
it's got Anya Taylor-Joy in it, so.
Yeah, that's true.
So I mean, like, and Lord Voldemort.
Ray Fiennes, is that his name?
I don't know.
He's the chef.
Yeah. Great movie. Like, just very, very solid all the way around.
Is it a horror movie?
Technically.
Oh, okay. Because I couldn't quite tell from like, because I think I saw like a trailer or two, but not
Kieran,
like.
would you describe it as a horror movie? Would you describe The Menu as a horror movie?
Okay.
But like, it technically was labeled as such, wasn't it? Yeah.
I don't know if
That's why I'm like, technically it's a horror movie.
Okay, but
like,
it's not like jump scare.
No, it's not really. I'd say it's more of like a thriller. Yeah,
Okay,
more of a thriller
I like
than
thrillers,
Yeah, more of a
so-
thriller than a horror.
I just watched Knives Out and Glass Onion.
Yeah, horror comedy. I'd agree with that. But I'd still say a bit more of a thriller.
Gotcha. Yeah, so I just watched Knives Out, Glass Onion, and Death on the Nile.
I've not seen Death on the Nile.
You don't
I
need
have
to.
seen
It's
the
not.
other two.
It's okay.
I heard it's not as good as Murder on the Orient Express.
I didn't see that one yet.
You watched the sequel, but not the first one.
I didn't know it was the sequel.
Oh. Okay. When you watch mystery movies,
Yeah.
are you actively paying attention to see if you can solve it?
Yes.
Okay. Did you feel like you could solve Death on the Nile?
Okay, so when they were explaining it, did you watch it?
No, I have not. I'm just curious.
Okay, so when they got to like the reveal portion, in my opinion, it felt a little too convoluted, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Whereas like Knives Out, I kind of got it right away.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of like you watch Knives Out,
Yes.
regardless of them.
His spoilers for
yeah,
Knives
for
Out.
these three movies. Whereas like in Knives Out, they're like, oh, it was the nurse, right? Like they essentially are like right away they let you know she did it. But I'm
Right.
like, obviously that can't be the whole mystery.
She
And-
did it, but she didn't.
Right. And then I was like, oh, clearly Chris Evans is a part of this. He's a little too shady shade for my liking here.
Right.
So I got that, and then I felt like with Glass Onion, it was pretty obvious. Did you watch Glass Onion?
I did.
You did.
I did not think it was as good as the first.
I
I thought it was a weaker movie than Knives Out.
like the.
Kieran, have you seen it yet? Yeah. Glass Onion? Oh, all right, cool.
I really enjoyed the character interactions of Glass Onion. I think more they felt a little more like eccentric to me than what Knives Out.
Mm-hmm.
The general cast minus Daniel Craig.
Right.
So I kind of like that aspect more. I did like the overall vibe and feeling of Knives Out more though.
Right.
But yeah, so with Glass Onion, again, I felt like, yeah, you have the reveal of like, oh, Andy died before she even got the invite. But I was like, it's obviously Miles. Like, come on.
Literally, all right, so...
Like, there's no way it's not him.
So, did you see him swap the glass when it happened?
I don't think so.
So I did.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was watching the movie, and I'm very, like, if I'm watching a mystery movie, I want to know if I can solve it. Because most of the time you can't.
Right.
Most of the time they pull some shit out of fucking thin air that you couldn't have possibly known about.
See, that's what I felt like with Death on the Nile.
Okay.
It felt like, I mean, yes, technically they had the little clues, but it felt so paper thin, you know what I mean?
Right.
That I was like, how the fuck am I supposed to put 2 and 2 together like that?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, the Murder in the Orient Express, I remember watching it, but not watching it close enough that I remember, like, in my review for it on Letterboxd, that I was like, I don't know if you can solve this or not, because I was not paying close enough attention.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, I feel like you probably could have,
Mm-hmm.
but I just wasn't paying attention.
Right.
So I'm curious if you end up watching it, if you think the same.
Okay. When I get to it,
because I did
I'll
like
let you know.
Murder on the Orient Express.
Okay.
I think it's at the very least very pretty.
Yeah.
Um,
That's the thing. I think with Knives Out, I do kind of appreciate that, even though like Glass Onion is like a Knives Out story. I like that they don't give it the same vibe.
yeah.
Where like Knives Out has that very like classic murder mystery whodunit clue kind of vibe.
Yeah.
You know, very foggy like kind of look. But Glass Onion is, you know, private island, super extravagant, this, that, the other thing. So I like how visually they're very different.
It's just so dumb. It's so dumb that it's brilliant.
Yeah.
No, it's just dumb.
It's just dumb, yeah.
But
I thought the comedy was really excellent.
yeah,
actually.
I agree. But I think for Glass Onion, like, I didn't care.
That's fair.
Like, they never made me really care about these people. And then, as I was saying, I was watching the scene when he switches the glasses, and literally just in the scene when it first happens, he just, like, Batista goes to reach for the glass, and he just hands him his, basically.
Yeah.
Like, you can just see it clearly.
Yeah.
And then, like, 2 seconds later, when he's fucking dead and they re-show the scene, it shows that he grabbed a different glass. And I remember looking at that and being like, that's not what happened, is it? And I was like, fuck, did I not see that part? And I was like, wait, no, I totally saw that. This movie's trying to fucking gaslight me. I was like, I absolutely saw him swap that glass. This dude's a fucking murderer. And like the rest of the movie, I was like, all right, well, it's him. Like, it's got to be him. This movie's trying to lie to me, but I know it's him.
I had a feeling right from the get-go where they were like opening the like puzzle box or whatever, and it's like an invitation to like a murder mystery party. Yeah, a murder mystery party to like solve my own murder type deal. I'm like, okay, so obviously you're out here killing some bitches. Like, come on, it's a private island.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which personally, like, I didn't really care about the characters that much. Minus Daniel Craig. I think he's...
Daniel Craig, I saw a review that was like Matt LeBlanc. I forgot. Benoit?
Benoit Blanc. That's
Benoit
it.
Blanc.
Matt LeBlanc.
Oh, I was the actor. Benoit Blanc is the Paddington of murder mysteries.
I saw that too. But yeah, I think Daniel Craig, he's just so fun and enjoyable. Like, you can tell he's just having like the time of his fucking life. He's just like, you know what, I'm just gonna ham it up the whole way through.
Yeah.
Like, it's so good. I think he does a great job.
Did you notice the little I saw this tweet that was like, you know, Daniel Craig's fucking hogging some dogs because it was the thing where they get the shot in the throats, and he doesn't react at all.
That's so funny.
You're like that man don't have a gag reflex. You know he's going down on them. He's just like,
I also saw something where somebody was like, Benoit Blanc in the like opening of the movie, he's playing Among Us, right? He's like, and they're like, he's playing Among Us, but like, how can you be so bad at Among Us? Like, you're a literal private detective. Come on, my guy.
yeah, but like, doesn't he make the joke about why he was like, I don't get how the fuck this makes sense?
I don't remember now.
Because he's just bad at video games.
Yes, he's very. Oh yeah, because he couldn't figure out like what he's supposed to
Yeah.
be doing.
Yeah.
But I did think that was very funny. I thought that was a cute little touch.
The fucking girl that shows up with the mask that is not actually a mask. It's just fucking like chain fence basically. The like.
Oh, Birdie, Kate Hudson's
Yeah.
character. Yes, I thought that was good as well. I was like, yeah, that's pretty freaking accurate. Like, let's be real. We all saw those Coachella pics.
Yeah, it was just like, I don't know. I get that they were all tropes for a reason,
Right.
but I hated all of their tropes.
I guess that's fair. I thought, like, yeah, is it super on the nose and like kind of goofy? Yes, but I think for what the movie is, because if you think about it, like most whodunit murder mysteries, you gotta have like pretty by the books characters.
No, yeah, I agree. I mean, I understand that,
And I
but
think
it
it's just taking those by the books characters into like a 2020 sensibility.
yeah, no, I agree. It felt less interesting to me than the first. Like,
Although I did like when he was like talking to Miles, it's like having a room full of people who hate you with a loaded gun and you turn the lights off, and then it's like flash forward in the movie and he's like, and you stole my idea.
yeah, he's like, you only have one good. You stole my idea. The only good idea you had was stealing my idea.
It's so good.
It's so dumb.
Literally
it's brilliant.
when-
No,
it's
it's just dumb.
Literally when that happens, when like Daniel Craig's like, what happens at 10 o'clock, right? And then the lights go off, I out loud went, loaded gun, and the lights go out.
Just.
Yeah.
And then it's funny because I have this weird thing, and I know it's stupid, okay? But anytime I see like a disaster movie or something, and I see like the London Bridge or like the pyramids of Giza get destroyed or whatever, I'm like, but that history, it's gone forever now in that world. And I'm like bummed by it.
Right.
So when
When you see the Mona Lisa, you know that bitch is not making it
every
out.
time when she hits the button, then everything explodes. It's like, oh no,
Yeah.
why? Couldn't you just leave it in its box? I was like,
Nope.
why? But I did love the moment where she was like, now your name will always be
With the Mona
with
Lisa.
the Mona Lisa, like you wanted, as the dumbass that destroyed it.
Yep.
So that moment was great.
But I did love that when he's like, oh, look what I got. And they're like, why would you do this? That's the Mona Lisa.
And he's like, oh, I built in a back door so I could open it. And I was like, dude.
No, and then he was like, oh, well, they were doing X, Y, and Z, so they were, like, letting me borrow it. And they're like, I love just, because I feel like that's a pretty accurate.
He
like,
bailed them out. He gave them a
Yeah.
fuck ton of money.
yeah. But I love, like, their reactions of being like, you don't understand. It's not just, like, a decorative thing. Like, you can't just display it.
Yeah. And like it was really funny.
Also, the bit with the guy who was just, like, chilling on the island was really funny.
Yeah, his stoner friend.
Yeah, his stoner friend. Who
Because
was
he's
just,
also as much of a loser as Miles Teller is, or Miles.
whatever his name
Yeah.
was. But, like, just every once in a while, he'd be like, hey, what's up?
Yeah, forget it. Ignore him. Here.
I'm not here. I'm not
Yeah.
here. Sorry, guys.
It literally the whole point is that he's also just as big a loser,
Yeah.
and it's like so annoying because you're like, oh, I know there are so many people in this world that are absolutely fucking loaded and idiots.
Yeah.
And you're just like, God damn it. Because all it took was the other person to actually be smart.
Oh, slightly related, but speaking of idiots who are really loaded, did you hear that Elon Musk now holds the world record for the most like money losses in a year?
Way to go, champ. Way to go.
I think he lost like over like $100 million.
Yeah.
In like just net profits.
Honestly, I'm sure that's not even like a fucking drop in the water for him.
I know, but that's still a lot. Oh,
Yeah.
no. What was it? Hold on, let me look it up because 100 million sounds kind of small.
100 million sounds small. God, what a world we live in.
I know, right?
I wish I could be like 100 million sounds small. That'd be great. I'd probably still live in this house. I would just make it better. always
Guinness
said if
World
I-
Record for the largest loss of personal fortune in history announced last week that Musk had lost about 182 billion of
There we
his
go.
net worth.
That makes way more
See,
sense.
I told you 100 million sounds small.
Sure did when it's 100 billion.
Some estimate his loss was up to 200 billion. With a B.
Yeah,
I'm
wild.
going to vomit.
I wish I could lose 200 billion and still be fine. That'd be cool.
I would be shitting my pants.
If you were still fine afterwards,
Well,
though.
yeah, you'd still be fine.
What
but
makes
like,
you feel more unfucking killable than if you lost $200 billion and are like, I'm still fine?
It's like Seto Kaiba status.
Yeah. Like,
Let me make a space
I always
station out
said
of my
I
initials.
always said if I came into absolute fuck you money,
Yeah.
I would never own a mansion. The most extravagant I think I would ever do is I would buy a house that had enough room that I could put a bowling alley in it. At least like a bowling lane.
Right.
Just because I think that that'd be funny. I also quite enjoy bowling. Not even like I don't even go bowling all that often.
Right.
But like if I just came into fuck you money, that would be the one sports thing I put into my house. I would absolutely still I would do a home theater.
Right. I don't.
No,
I don't
would-
understand mansions mainly because like
It's so much dead space.
who are you housing with that mansion?
It's so much dead space.
It really is. Like, why do you need 16 bedrooms?
Yeah, like if I still had this house, right? So this house is very nice, and I quite enjoy the fact that I can live in a house
Right.
at my age and whatnot. But it is laid out weird.
Yes.
That's its biggest problem.
right.
Is that it is weirdly laid out, and so things aren't super convenient of how like if
You arrange them.
Yeah, like if everything in this house was gutted, like you still have such a limited way to arrange everything.
Yeah.
The basement's the worst of it because if you want to put a TV somewhere in the basement, right?
Yeah.
You really only have one option.
I was gonna say you're very limited with your options.
Yeah.
For a TV.
like you can't put it on like the walkway wall because that would just be weird. You can't put it where the fireplace is because there's not enough room and the heat and it
Right.
would just not work. You can't put it on the wall that's facing the exterior of the house because it's not like a wall.
And
it's,
you don't have
it's
enough.
sectioned off
Yeah,
as
you
like
don't
a,
have like enough space for it.
yeah, and so you only have the wall that's like facing,
Under the steps.
under the steps, which is broken off by the steps that lead upstairs, so it can't sit in the center. And then there's the fucking crawl space door,
Which you
is,
can't block off.
Yeah, and so you're just like kind of screwed.
Yeah.
And like, so I was like, if I just came into like fuck you money, like with this house, and I was just gonna stay here, I would probably spend an absurd amount of money to lift the house real quick, dig out the crawl space, and make that another level.
But wouldn't it make more sense to just demolish it and start fresh?
Possibly, but if I didn't feel like doing that, then no.
I feel like you would actually waste more money
Probably.
trying to maintain the structure you have now to lift the house.
Probably, but I'm saying I have fuck you
Excavate
money.
with the house on
But
top.
I have fuck you money. I can do whatever I
and
want.
then build a third level with the house still there.
Yeah, so, all right, so fine. Let's say I demoed everything, but I think it's funnier if I just lifted it because I had fuck you money and it didn't matter.
Just put it on like a jack.
Yeah. So what I would probably do is I'd probably not make it. What is this considered, a ranch? Because the
I
level.
think it's called like
split ranch?
a split ranch where it's like two.
Yeah, I probably would not.
But they're
make it
like
that.
half levels, if that makes sense.
Right. I would probably get rid of that. Although I don't know if I could because the HOA, because every other house on this spot is also a split ranch. So who fucking knows?
Oh, you have HOA here?
I don't actually know that. But I'm just saying every other house around us is also a split.
It's probably because
ranch,
that's
so.
how this was developed.
Yeah, because my
'Cause
parents' house isn't. So
I was gonna say your parents' house isn't, but aren't they right up the street?
yeah, but they were also built forever ago.
Oh, okay.
So
Because I was gonna say probably because usually what happens is like, let's say
fuck the HOA.
a land gets open, right? Or let's say multiple pieces of land are available.
Right.
One person will come in, purchase all like let's say 5 pieces of land, and essentially do copy paste houses.
Yeah.
Make the exterior slightly different by like, oh, this house will have gray and this house will have blue or
Yeah.
something stupid like that, right? But essentially the interior and exterior are exactly the same.
Yeah.
And then you just put them on the market. So a lot of like, you ever go down streets where like literally every house is the same.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Yeah.
Because it was one contractor who's like, all right, let's just bang
Build-
these
yeah.
out, make them all the same, so we don't have to like
Right.
think about it.
So what I would probably do is like,
And then you could just keep using the same floor plan forever.
yeah, I would if I didn't have to keep it as a split ranch, demo it, dig out so I would either dig out the crawl space to make another level, or lift the house so that way it could be one big ass room with a crawl space also as a part of the basement.
Wouldn't it make sense to just go upwards, or can you only go 2 stories?
No, I probably could, but what I'm saying is because it's dead space and it's a big ass space.
Oh, the crawl space that's already
Yeah,
existing.
the crawl spaces. Yeah.
I
So I'm saying
understand.
either
I
dig
understand.
that out to make a lower level, that would technically actually be a basement because that's on ground level.
Right.
Or just make it one big room.
I understand.
Yeah.
And you would do like a finished basement type.
Yeah.
deal.
So one of those two.
Gotcha.
Probably the bigger room makes more sense, but fuck whatever. I have fuck you money. I can do whatever I want. And
Could probably even potentially buy a better already structured house.
yeah, but whatever.
You're like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
me
I'd
do
probably build
infinitely
back
more
a bit
work.
more.
Yeah.
And then I would like fucking figure out a better way to figure out this kitchen because it's just still a bit too cramped.
Is it? I feel like the flow is pretty good.
Some drawers like hit other things and like like it's fine, like it works pretty
But
well.
it's just
like,
a little awkward.
yeah, it's just a little awkward, and there's not a lot of space to like put your pots and pans
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I would absolutely do like what my uncle has, which is because he has the same kind of house as this, where the pantry is up there.
Yeah.
Not pantry, linen closet.
Oh, okay.
Is instead a staircase that leads to another room up top. He built like another floor.
Oh, okay.
That's how you would build up in these houses. Is
Right.
you build stairs there.
Right.
And he
That's
has
probably the only place you could build stairs.
yeah,
going up.
and he has a soundproofed room for audio.
Oh,
Like,
that's
he has
cute.
like fucking massive speakers and like a big music room. I'd probably do that, and then also make it a home theater because movies, absolutely. But yeah, like, and then just probably just do some things that just clean up the houses a bit, like get rid of all the fucking corner windows that are all only in the corner of each room.
And they're literally. I think that's such. I don't know. I think it's because
They're
you're.
also all drafty as fuck.
I think it's because you are for something to be considered a bedroom. You have to have 2 places to exit
Right.
in case of a fire. So, and they're probably just like, hey, we didn't think about window placement, and we technically have to have one. Just slap it on the corner.
Literally every single room that has 2 walls in which to be outside, they are all cornered placed.
It's such a stupid weird design.
My bedroom, Kieran's room.
There's one
the
right
room
here.
over there in the dining room. Like, it's so fucking.
It's really
stupid.
bizarre. Because I remember when you first told me that, I was like, surely he can't. Like, maybe he's exaggerating. And then I came here for the first time. I was like, oh no, it's really right in the corner.
Sure is.
And it's like really small too. It's not like a regular window.
Yeah, and then like technically, like when I'm talking about like the issue with the TV, technically like this is the living room where we record.
Right.
So you technically put the TV here,
Right.
but
But that's not going to happen.
A, we're recording here. B, even if we weren't, why the fuck would I put it up here? It's much cozier downstairs.
Right.
Like, why would I want to be up here the entire time?
That's fair.
So I don't know. Yeah, so anyway, changing slight topics.
It's okay.
Do you still watch Marvel stuff? currently?
I'm trying to think. What's the most recent Marvel thing I watched? I watched.
Technically, the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special is the most recent Marvel
I
thing to
didn't
come
watch
out.
that.
I didn't really like it.
Werewolf by Midnight, was that it?
That is not the latest, but that is
Okay,
one
so
that was recent.
Right. So I watched that. I watched.
Did you watch Black Panther 2?
No, I haven't watched that
Okay.
yet. I'm just trying to think in my brain what's like the most recent Marvel stuff I watch. Whatchamacallits. Thor: Love and Thunder.
I need to rewatch that.
It was okay.
Yeah, I remember like walking out of it and being like, I kind of like this, and then I saw everyone's takes on it, and I was like, I feel like I should rewatch this.
In my opinion, it's a worse version
I do think it is a worse version of Ragnarok.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say.
I-
It's a because
His character is grating on me now. It's too.
in Ragnarok
himbo.
it was the perfect balance.
I actually think Endgame is the perfect balance.
I would agree.
I think he is a good balance of funny and serious.
In Endgame,
Yes.
but it's
No, sorry, not Endgame. Infinity War.
I was gonna say in Endgame it's like different.
Endgame, I think they ruin it.
Really?
I don't because the perfect balance is Infinity War. I understand that he gets depressed and that's why it changes.
Right.
But it felt a little too comedic, and I was like, and again, I get that he was going through something, which is why I'm not going to say it was the worst take. I understand it was not what his character was different for a reason.
Right.
So I think Infinity War has the best version of
There's Thor.
their Thor.
Okay, I would agree with
Sorry.
that. Then Ragnarok. Yeah, I just think it's a worse version of
And also, it's Werewolf by Night.
by night. I don't know why I always think it's by midnight.
So fucking good.
Like I don't know. It has a lot of good elements that you would think like, oh, this should work really well. But I don't know. Like
Well, because I was gonna ask if you were gonna go see Ant-Man and the Wasp.
the last I saw the first Ant-Man. I didn't see the second one.
I actually think the second Ant-Man is probably the best comedic Marvel movie.
Really?
Yes. It is my number 8 out of all of the Marvel movies.
What's your number 1? Endgame?
No, Winter Soldier.
Really?
Winter Soldier is my number 1. Number 2 is the first Iron Man.
That's kind of. I'm surprised Winter Soldier is number 1.
Winter Soldier is my favorite MCU movie. I think it is almost perfect. In terms of MCU movies,
Right.
I think it is almost perfect. I think the action scenes are incredible. The story is great. It made Captain America fucking cool.
Yeah.
Because beforehand he was a fucking just like generic soldier man.
Yeah, that's fair.
And
It
Avengers
made him more
didn't
human.
help that. Yeah, Avengers he was just a loser. He was. You can't tell me I'm wrong. In
No, you're-
Avengers he was absolutely
yeah.
a loser.
A little bit.
I did not give a shit about Captain America and Avengers.
Yeah. What was I gonna say?
Winter Soldier is my
Thor:
favorite.
Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
Like I feel like with Natalie Portman and like you watched it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the whole like cancer thing and blah blah blah. I was like, yeah, I'm fine. But also we haven't seen Jane in like 10 fucking years.
Yeah, because Lady Thor, that was her story, and
Right.
it's one of the best written stories for Thor there is, by Jason Aaron, and I really enjoyed her Lady Thor.
I just think the way they did it was not enough focus. Like it felt like very like
I wish she got her own movie.
yes, I think that's right. If they spent the whole time like fleshing all this stuff out, right, I would be like, that's great, right? But they spent too much time going like between like, oh, cancer. Here's Thor being quippy with like the Guardians of the Galaxy, and here's Christian Bale being like evil.
Yeah,
Right? Like there
yeah.
wasn't any good. It was not balanced, in my opinion.
They were never gonna do it, but they should have made Natalie Portman's Thor her own movie.
Yeah.
And I think they wouldn't do it also because if she was just going to die at the end, why waste the time? But I think that would have been a really strong movie if she
Right.
still fucking dies at the end.
Right. I agree.
Yeah, like I think it would have been. And if you didn't want to commit to her dying in her movie, then you make Love and Thunder and
Right.
and
And then
have her story end there.
right.
And just have her already knowing what she's doing, and now Thor is interacting with a confident Lady Thor, she was confident, but like knows exactly what she's doing.
Right.
And then him interacting with that, and her being a little more serious.
Yeah. I just felt like I don't know if this is just me, but the pacing overall was
It was bad.
It was a little like it was kind of jarring actually.
The fucking goats were the most annoying thing on the planet.
God, those stupid fucking huge ass goats.
Also, I think Korg overstays his welcome.
Korg?
I think that he was fine as a supporting character.
Yeah.
He shouldn't get upgraded to main.
Yeah, cuz like
He was too annoying.
Because in like Thor Ragnarok and then in Endgame, we get in Ragnarok we just get little snippets of Korg, and then in Endgame we only really see him when they're trying to get Thor like back on the team.
Yeah.
And then is he in the final fight? Yes, he
Yes.
is, but he doesn't really have any
doesn't have any
dialogue. You know what I
dialogue.
mean? So like,
You just see him going, ah, and that's
yeah.
it.
So like, Korg, I think in very small doses is really a great like comedic character, but I don't It's not a character I particularly need more of.
Yeah, I think he overstays his welcome
Yeah.
in Love and Thunder. I think quite a few jokes also overstay their welcome in that movie.
I agree.
I think Thor becomes too much of a himbo.
He's a himbo, but also him with the Guardians of the Galaxy, I feel like he's too arrogant, which, at least for me, like, OG Thor is arrogant, but that's because he's like, I'm a god.
Yeah.
But this version of him, like you're saying, is more like himbo-y. And this version of arrogance doesn't feel like he feels like he's superior because he's a god. He just feels like he's superior because he knows he's better than the Guardians of the Galaxy, which I feel like is, to begin with, an unfair comparison. And I don't like how it seems more mean-spirited compared to like OG Thor, who was arrogant.
Yeah, like in Infinity War, it's like almost the perfect balance of him and the Guardians interacting. I think it still steps a little over where he's like still kind of asserting his dominance.
Right.
But I think also it's a little less bad because he's doing it in a way that is not necessarily malicious, but in a way that he just needs these people to listen to him because he needs to get where he's going.
Because in Infinity War, that's coming right off the coattails of Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah. And
so
and like,
that makes sense.
yeah, and
character-wise.
Yeah, and Peter feeling like he needs to like
man up
and beef up his voice and everything and stand straighter.
Is you changing your voice? No, I always sound like this. He did it again.
Yeah, you're imitating the God Man.
This is not a dude.
Yeah, you're a dude. This is a man. What? You know, I've had a bit too many sandwiches. You know. Wow. All right. I'm gonna go get a Bowflex. You know. Yeah. If the next Thor movie is the same character that we've gotten for Love and Thunder, I don't
Are they
care.
doing another one?
I think so.
So Thor will have 5.
I think so.
Damn.
And he'll have his daughter as
True.
his daughter in real life and in fake life.
Oh, this is.
Yeah, it's his actual daughter.
Oh, how cute.
Yeah. So he has like fucking most of his family in the Thor movies. His wife is the like werewolf girl.
That's funny.
So yeah. I think his other kids are also in the pile of kids during the fight.
Really? And I know his brother is
His 2 brothers.
Oh, I didn't know Liam's Hemsworth. I know like Luke Hemsworth.
I'm pretty sure Liam Hemsworth is also in the movie.
No, I'm talking about
But yes, Luke is the one that plays Thor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I thought was
the
very
actor.
That's very funny.
Him and Matt Damon.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Which
yeah,
Matt Damon as Loki is so funny.
it really is.
Like, it's just such a funny choice.
It is very. It's just like, I don't know. I'm very tired of this Thor, and I want him to be a little more serious. I don't. If we can't get Infinity War again, Thor again, like that's fine. But I think he needs to be closer.
Well, I think they
He needs
just.
to be dialed back in the himbo area.
Well, the thing is I think Marvel saw that people really liked Ragnarok Thor, and they were like, but. And I think they were like, oh, he's so good here because he's so funny and quippy and blah, blah, blah. And they were like, okay, let's just bump that up to like 1,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it loses a lot of balance and it loses a lot of like nuance for his character.
Yeah.
Because at least in Infinity War, you can still see there's a lot of like layers to him. And then while he is different in Endgame, you're still seeing he's a very complex, layered person.
Yeah.
And then here in Love and Thunder, he just feels kind of flat and like uninteresting.
Yeah. I'm hoping, cause like I'm not getting burned out by Marvel, but Marvel just has a lot of shit going on. Not bad in terms of shit, but just a lot of stuff. But I'm hoping I really like Quantumania. It looks like it'll be fun.
When is that supposed to come out?
Second week of February. Like it's soon. and as I was saying, I think that February 17th.
Gotcha.
So third week of February. And I think Ant-Man and the Wasp is the best comedic movie. It is downright hilarious in basically every way.
When did the first Ant-Man come out?
2015.
Really?
Yeah, sure did. Nailed it.
2015?
Uh-huh. I think it was part of the second phase.
Is it the end of second phase?
I think so.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
I feel like we had this
We did.
argument once before, but I
Yeah.
can never remember with Ant-Man.
Yeah, we did. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm hoping Ant-Man and the Wasp is Quantumania is great. Also because it has Catherine Newton as his daughter, and I enjoy her.
Yeah?
Yeah, she you watch Supernatural, right?
Nope. Every time you ask me this, I'm like,
Forget
no, I
every time.
still
You
have.
just- you seem like this person that would have watched Supernatural.
Can I tell you why I haven't watched Supernatural though?
why?
So, were you ever on Tumblr? I know we're a little over, but were you ever on Tumblr?
No,
Okay, so
but I know of.
Okay, so
a
you
lot
know of
Tumblr.
Tumblr.
Yeah.
So, Supernatural was like a really, really big popular fandom on
Yeah, that makes
Tumblr.
sense.
And it's similar to like Doctor Who, where it was just so all over the place. Like you literally couldn't avoid it. It didn't matter who you were like following, subscribed to, anything. I don't know
Right.
what it was called on Tumblr. But it would just be on your feed all the time. And it just got to the point where I was like, I literally just do not care, and I don't care to like investigate this, you know what I mean? So I never watched Doctor Who, any of it,
Right.
and I never watched Supernatural. Cuz it just got shoved down my throat for so
Right.
long, and I was like, no, I'm over it.
Quite enjoy Supernatural, but at some point she plays. Do you know who Castiel is, right?
Is he the one with the long hair?
No, he's the
One with the trench
angel.
coat?
Yeah, angel with the trench coat.
Okay.
All angels have to inhabit human bodies.
Okay.
The body that Castiel is in, I forget his regular fucking name. The character
George.
something. The dude that he's inhabiting, whatever his name is. Catherine Newton plays his daughter,
Gotcha.
who like his dad fucking abandoned them
Oh,
because Angel was like, hey, I need your body. He was like, okay,
gotcha.
and then never fucking came back.
Gotcha.
So she's
gotcha.
pretty fucking annoyed
Bitter?
about that. Yeah, bitter about that.
Seems like the right choice.
Yeah. So I watched her mostly through that, and I quite enjoyed her acting. And then she's been in a few other things that I've enjoyed. So I'm
Gotcha.
interested to see her being in like a huge
Movie.
budget movie.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Blockbuster type deal.
Yeah. Anyway,
Anyway, we're a little over, but that's fine.
hey, thanks for watching this week's episode of the Vaguely Anime Podcast. You have 3 weeks to watch A Certain Scientific Railgun Season 1. So don't forget to do that. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, leave a review, like, follow. Check out Kat at CatTheMoodstar on Twitch. And we will see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.